Championship Sunday, and we are ready, but it's one day earlier than that. It's Championship Saturday, and that's what makes it even better than that. We head to Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache to finish off this season for the Americas region. Sao Paulo, Brazil, one of the greatest, if not the greatest championship finale circuit in all of motorsport, and I think it is a travesty that Formula One does not come here for its season finale anymore. I'm Jake Sperry. Joe Peake is alongside with me for today's action, and Joe, aside from the fact that I seem to be calendarily challenged here today, we're going to be in for an absolute treat of racing action that comes along, because we're going to try and find out the first 8 that are going to book their place in the Porsche Esports Supercup.
The spirit is there, and that's what matters. And yeah, I'm hyped to see what happens out on track. Like you said, this place known for dramatic finishes, dramatic championship deciders, and it's not just one that we're looking at. Like you said, it is 8 drivers. So there's going to be a few happy people, but there's going to be even more that are going to go home disappointed.
Yeah, which means that you've got to try and find your way to run up through the rungs and get yourself to the top level. Here is what everyone is racing for today.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and a chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are 2 ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open Qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The Regional Championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
Well, it could be, and we saw just how important it was to be out there in racing action last time out. So you had to be absolutely switched on, but there were mistakes to be made, most notably there at lap 1, turn 1, Gustavo Ariel.
Yeah, that really set the tone, but he got back out there and tried to stick with it. A lot of drivers still ran into trouble further down the lap into the infamous chicane as well, but that really set the tone for the race as it got extremely elbows out in some of the battles we'll see on the outbreaking duels that they had at the end of these long straights. You could see once you get through these twistier sections, it became a case of who is braver on the Dandiers, and for some drivers it worked out a little bit better than others.
It did. A lovely move down the inside there being offered up in its battle, but it was a little bit chippy out there with drivers understanding what the rules of the road were going to be. You saw there into that hairpin at turn 16. Very easy it was to keep making a little bit of contact here, a little bit of contact there. No worries for Xander Reed. Job done. Got what he wanted out of it and realised, okay, this is what I am all about, and was one of 3 to book their place, including his teammates Mitchell de Jong and Elvis Rankin. It's a case of 8 points is the difference to getting yourself in and out at the moment, though, Joe. Augustin Talashi at Thibaut Courtois Esports versus Gabriel Moretto over at Bloomer Cure.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just them. We have to remember that it's all of those top 8, so those drivers that are within the points range below them that you can see down to, I believe, Dino Filippa, one of the ones that still is in contention here. You've got to try and work your way up towards the front of this field because you do not want to be stuck down in the middle. It is going to be craziness back there, especially because it's crunch time, Jake, and everybody's gonna be desperate. It's do or die.
Yeah, you have no time left out there in racing to make sure that you can go and maybe wait in. So I guess you could say we're not quite the Europe region, but it is in fact a case of find everything you can. You've got options to the left, you've got abilities to the right, but here we are stuck in the middle fighting for a championship.
Yeah, and like I was alluding to, it's going to make it fierce out there, so you have to be elbows out, much like we saw last time at Miami. I think it's going to be a lot worse, especially with such a shorter lap around here that's kind of split into 2 halves. So I expect that anybody that's not out in the clear up towards the front is going to find a very frantic race in front of them.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult there because you turn around and you say everyone from 5th place space or 4th place over to 21st still has a mathematical shot of making it, but there are drivers who are not locked in looking to put the newer teams up there. So don't you forget about me if you're a brand new team.
And that's what I love about this new format that Porsche has brought this season. It's, I think, offered up a few lesser-known teams to jump into the mix. There's even some drivers who are doing it on their own. They don't have a team that they're represented. Now, I'm sure they have some support behind the scenes of people that are helping them with setups and things like that. But when you've got the big names that are usually dominating up front, I think this time around, we're seeing a lot of plucky young up-and-comers starting to make a name for themselves.
You absolutely are, and you have to make sure that you are keeping yourself as calm as possible out there, because even this late, it always feels like someone's watching you, isn't it? A case of do not make a mistake that gets you a late penalty in this season.
It's been one of the defining factors in this. There are drivers that could have actually been locked in up to this point, but because of the penalty points, they are still on the bubble. So, yes, you are kind of having to really walk the line here. Remember how I said that it's going to be feisty out there? Well, you don't want to overstep that line because the stewards are watching at iRacing, and it could be a defining moment. So you do need to be aggressive out there, but you need to try and keep it within the lines.
And painting between the lines is key at a circuit where, I will be quite honest with you, every single corner is an overtaking opportunity out there, and there are not many circuits where that is the case. Here is your TDK track analysis as we head to the Sao Paulo city of Brazil at a circuit that runs anti-clockwise for 15 turns. The Senna S, the Skida de Lago, Ferradura, over to the Bico de Pato, Mergulho and Junção. All very, very important sections of road. All can be your pitfall.
And like I was saying, it kind of splits it up because you can see that run down the main straight. Very flat out, very fast. Offers opportunities into the Senna S. The Descida de Lago, next spot. Long run down the Reta Aposta. But then you get to the middle of the lap. Look at how twisty and tight it is. Yes, passing chances can happen in there, but it's something where you need a car that is both very good in a straight line, but also very comfortable where it needs the mechanical grip because it's pretty much all low-speed corners in the middle of the lap.
It's very tight, very technical, very hilly as this circuit forms a natural bowl out there on this track. A chance to look over at your Loctite race analysis here, which tells you that you've got half an hour left in your season to go and gather it back up. It's a standing start today with no planned stops. Top 8 are moving on to the World Championship, and that is the big goal that they have. So you know, if anyone's heading down into pit lane, Joe, they have not had the day at the office that they want.
Exactly. You really don't want to visit there. You mentioned Gustavo Ariel, however. He got back out on track, tried to get whatever positions he could. You never know what kind of dramas could have out on the circuit, could happen out there. So you got to try and at least finish the race if you can, because at this point, like we've been saying, every point matters, and you don't give up until that checkered flag falls.
You absolutely don't. It doesn't matter if you find yourself with only needing a handful of points today or whether you get all the points today. It's going to be critical that you find yourself this opportunity to go, right, I want these points. I am going to take these points and no one is going to rip them away from me over the course of this season. So that's going to be a lot to deal with, but you've got your opportunity here to get yourself in with some amazing racing action, because if you want to learn more about the Porsche Esports Super Cup and all of the goings on, well, you've got a little QR code that you can scan to get more information. And Joe, this is one of the fun things about the qualifiers. This is only just the beginning.
Exactly. We've got the Porsche Esports Super Cup coming up after we decide these top 8, but let's see how to get around here quickly with our onboard lap. Xander Reed doing some impressive work this time around, managing to get himself up on the pole again. I talked about the opportunities passing, but it's also easy to throw it away here at the first corner. You've got to try and make sure to get it to turn in, or else it's difficult to make the rest of these sweeping corners that all tie together into the Curva de Sol. And then make sure you get the launch, Jake, because it's a long, flat-out section down into the lake descent.
Yeah, so on the Heta Posta, over into the Scheda de Lago here. Turn 4, left-hander, 90 degree. Very easy to run wide as you drop down the hill. And then turn 5, a lot easier as you climb back the other side. He doesn't take all the curb on the outside. He doesn't need to, because he's going to open up Ferradura here. Turn 6, out on track. Opening up then the second part of the horseshoe and over into the essay here. This right-hand bend where you just got to try and be aggressive on the brakes. Now you drop down the hill into the Pinarino. Back up the hill once again. You can see that the circuit narrows over on the right-hand side as you hit the Pico de Pato, the tightest corner on this circuit, known as the Duck's Beak. Meguyo is going to challenge in terms of holding your downforce levels, and then you've got this small dip. You take as much as you can on the right-hand side for Junsao, the junction corner that allows you now to get this lovely climb up the hill to the finish. Flat out from this point onwards, it's all about maximising the line. He's all over the curve through Sabina dos Boxes. He passes the Bancadas on the right-hand side, takes as close of a line as he possibly can to the pit wall and crosses there for a 1:31.288, which was in fact a tenth and a half quicker than Elvis Rankin, who will be joining him on the front row of the grid. Miguel Costa, big qualifying from him in third as Mitchell de Jong starts fourth. Gustavo Ariel will take the final 2 championship points for qualifying, with Sean Campbell in 6th position. Hadino Mamasi starts this one from 7th, with Gabriel Moretto here on the outside looking in and in a handy 8th place. And he's got gap to work with Francisco Camillo, Ralph Benitez and Dalton Zavadil 9th, 10th and 11th. Rodrigo Abreu for Hardline Racing Team in 12th. Augustine Talashi knows he's going to have to make places in this race if he wants to book his spot. He's 13th with Bruno De Carmo in 14th spot. It's then Fidel Moreira and William Augustine. They hold row 8 of the grid. And then you've got Flavio Dantas there in 17th alongside the Beng Tuan Racing driver Victor Veloso. Neto Nascimento and Louis Schirmer are going to be on the top 20, with Leandro Lanzendorf and Felipe Juliato making up the top 22. Then it's the brother Felipe Dantas in 23rd, with Daniel Molina in 24th. 28 here today, so Noah Wing there in 1.4 seconds adrift. A shock to see him so far down in qualifying. With Esteban Adriano, Achilles Giannasis, and then a non-qualifying start for Dino Filippo, which you could argue probably has come from a qualifying ban after the massive hits that he was caught up in on the opening few laps of the race over at Miami. So Interlagos, what do you have to offer? It's had the flair for the dramatics in the past. No rain in the air to speak of here today. And drivers realizing they are 10 seconds away from the start. And one of the quirks of this on iRacing, the front 2 grid rows do not get used. So those who are starting 5th to 8th actually have the flat to work with here off the start. It's a disadvantage to be qualifying in the top 4. You've got an uphill launch on your get-go. Let's get ourselves then in for one final time this season with the Americas region. First region to look to score its points. We're underway with racing action. Not a great start there from Elvis Rankin. That's going to pull Miguel Costa in with a chance then as we head towards turn 1, trying round the outside of the center S to go and make that happen. Everyone too wide. There's contact in the middle. There's lots of contact. Moretto's gone around. Then into the barriers. Then on the opening lap of the race. Disastrous for what he was hoping to go and get. Suddenly a huge advantage. Turns the other way, Joe.
Gabriel Moretto also caught up into that. He's got the car going, but he's way behind. You can see it in the background there. He's separated from the top drivers. Xander Reed trying to run away. We're going to go 3 wide for 3rd place here.
Look at this! Oh, just about enough cut over there from Gustavo Ariel. There's a reason why he's got 12,000 iRacing out there in closed wheel racing. And the reason why, Joe, is he is so good at just knowing how far, how long and wide his car is. He can place it anywhere he wants as if he put it there himself like a hand of God.
It is so much more difficult in sim racing to have that situational awareness around you, exactly how big your car is. So yeah, big credit in that tight racing, which you have to race, be comfortable tight racing at this style of, at this level of racing. Sounds like we got another look on what happened with Moretto. He's made his way up to 25th, but this has huge implications on the championship.
Paints himself into a corner, tries to get outside of it, and he gets turned for his troubles there. That's being greedy on the opening lap. Yeah, you've got overlap, but once you stick to a line at turn 1 of a race, Joe, you have to stay in your lane. Oh, look at the kick up there. Over, and there's a massive accident in the back. Look at the smoke that's just gone up, and it's involved Dalton Zavadil, one of your top 8 contenders.
Seems like the Senna S is going to be calamity corner. For this one, you've got another car. That's Dino Filippa that is in the background. It has been chaos at the beginning of this race, and some major players have just scuppered their own race before it barely gets started.
William Augustine, the one who is in the wall and out of the race. Goodness gracious, this race meaning a lot to everybody here, and the damage being dealt with in the early stages out there. Critically, Tolashi is still out there and is making, or has lost progress off of the start of this race. He's all the way down in P20 at the moment. That's going to be a bit more. Another issue then down through the corners. Then that's not going to be doing any favours back there. Spam Adriano and co. There looked like they were stuck out on that. So a lot that's gone on in the opening laps of this race, but it's calm through the top 6. Bottom of your screen, this is going to tell you just how quickly incidents happen. And this was the opening lap. Lucky not to catch there. The wall's on the outside.
Very lucky, but I don't think he's going to be very happy about what happened regardless. Yes, he can get back into the race, but with no scheduled pit stops, it's going to be tough. It really will come down to what we were talking about earlier, making sure you get back out there, try to just collect what you can and deal with the cards you've been dealt.
Right, let's take a look at Dalton Zavadil's moment here and what has cost him in this race. So he's looking to try and be aggressive here with Fidel Moretto. Oh, and he gets sent by the lime green machine there. That is a nasty, nasty hit there to go and get that sorted. That was Victor Veloso that he's gone into it. And there's the tap for Augustine, who just ends up catching oversteer. And then Filippa has his own little slide.
Yeah, I'd say that Zavadil was kind of an innocent victim on that one. And as it's we still got more drama happening coming out into the Descida del Lago, and it pinches down so easily. Unfortunately for the 6 of Gabriel Moretto, he's involved in more problems. And when you're on that car on the outside, you really got to watch out, because the car likes to wash out on that downhill plunge.
Tolashi up then into 16th spot here, and he's looking at more because he's right up with this here. Flavio Dantas, Filippo Juliato, there at the moment. Neto Nascimento, Victor Veloso, and leading the group, Louis Schirmer here. He is right in the mixer for Thibaut Courtois Esports, and he is going to have to find his way up there at the moment. I'm looking at drivers who could be challenging here in points for Augustin Talashi. Moreto's behind after the spin. Zabadil is out. The next driver is Dino Filippa. He's been involved in issues. No wing near the back, and Fidel Moreira. It might be a poor start here. He's down 3 off the get-go here, Joe, but he is still, to my money, in a prime position right now. Francisco Camillo, probably one of the best here out there who could be charging up. Ralph Benitez, probably the best placed out there in 8th at this moment in time. Will be staring on 57 points. Going to have to do the math on it, but I think here, Talashi doing the right thing at the right time. Move on, Veloso.
Yeah, that is going to be Nascimento, who tried to get underneath, but that compromises his exit. Here comes Giuliotto. He's going to try around the outside into the horseshoe. Usually that doesn't quite work out. They're almost touching doors as they steer into the corner. He's going to do his best to hang tough, but then it's another right-hander into SA. And yeah, I think that might just seal the deal, and it does, but look at it trickling backwards now.
Someone's got to tell Talashi not to get involved. He's off the road there. Contact with one of the Dantas brothers. It's Flavio. And ultimately, it's now allowed Felipe Dantas through. There's more contact, and he's almost turned him as Flavio Dantas as they work through. Leader, these two still fighting out together, the two teammates. But Talashi is getting himself caught up in things he arguably just has to let go.
And I would say that this all kind of started because Schirmer is a bit of a cork in the bottle. He's gained 9 spots with everything that's been happening around him. We saw that huge train. Drivers were getting a little bit too impatient. They were trying to take opportunities that just weren't there.
No, and that makes all of the difference. Now suddenly here comes Noah Wing trying to go and gain his spots, gain his points, thinking about this one here as they work on through. Battle on for second on the top of your screen because Gustavo Ariel is through on Elvis Rankin. Got that done at the center S, and so now he looks to try and set his sights then on Xander Reed out there to try and get through, and so he's going to be turning around and saying, look, what can I do? Try and chase down out there in position. 16th stage, as you were then with this group, and also Dino Filippa is in that little pack now of 3 and 4 that is trying to chase up, and look at him crossing the beams here up into Ferradura. Nascimento trying around the outside of Giuliotto.
Yeah, he had to take a bit of avoiding action, honestly. He's going to try to send it deep, and that does scare Felipe off the racing line. But again, contact is going to be made, and Felipe Dantas is going to pick up at least one of the spots. Could he maybe get a second as the 23 whips it back around? We jump back up to our lead cars where Xander Reed has really taken this regional series by the scruff of the neck.
Everything's calm at the front of this field. Do you get the sense, Joe, that everyone just is riddled with anxiety in the mid-pack?
I kind of predicted this, that those at the front should probably have a much calmer race. They know that they're doing everything they need to do. They do not need to take risks. Those at the back know that this is the end of the road. So what have you got to lose to take a risk?
Exactly. It's a case of the haves and the have-nots out there on this circuit. Can they get what they need? That's late on a defence from Felipe Dantas. He turns it into a half attack. There's a shuck down the inside, turn to the outside there, and looking for the crossover goes Dino Filippa, but that there for Talashi just gives you a sense we're on the rear of Felipe Giuliotto here, and what he has to deal with, this hornet's nest he's trying to get himself out of right now. Felipe Dantas half looking for the outside, doesn't elect for it, and they're in the background trying to work with the off-track to try and gain the place there. That's cheeky there from Dino Filippa.
You got to be careful with that because remember, 17 incidents and it is a drive-through. That is another one that's going to put paid to your race if you overstep the boundaries too often. This is a modern F1 track. There's a lot of that paved runoff where it's tempting because you know you can get away with it and keep running, but those start to add up quickly, even in 30 minutes.
You do. Those off tracks look like basically the one ring. It tempts you out there to go out and take an off track penalty, but you don't want to, and you definitely don't need to out there to be quick, and that much tells you all you need to know. This battle going on for 13th. Well, it's lucky for some out there. Giuliotto, Dantas, and the likes then of Talashi out there, the second of the Dantas brothers, then working forward. On board with Noah Wing in the US of A machine, the man from Sacramento, looking to try and push himself out forward and say, hey, look, I am going to make an absolute charge of it at this point in time. Get up on this main straight, but here's the issue. You get stuck in the train, it's actually quite hard to make the slipstream pay in these Porsche 992.2s.
They got very close down to the Senna S once again. Torlashi doing a very good job catching up to Felipe Dantas. You can see them again using up some of that runoff there on the outside, trying to get the launch. Maybe use one of those incident points strategically to get yourself a little bit more speed. And Felipe doing an amazing job, just staying cool in this situation. That number 13 car didn't even go to defend.
No, and so that is going to be a really, really good sense of, right, I want this to be this overtaking opportunity. I want a prowess drive. I want a marauding drive. I want a drive that people are going to remember to get me in there. They don't ask you how, they ask you, are you there? And that's the key here. This has settled down now. This group has suddenly worked here into the second third of this race and realised, okay, this is how you go. A little bit of side-by-side actually there in the background. I think that was Achilles Giannissis trying to make the move on Rodrigo Abreu. That is Abreu actually going through. On board with Torlashi here, and look at the way he's trying to work through. He's really having to fight with his steering wheel. It shows you how much force feedback he's working with.
You don't want to be sawing away too much at the wheels, get these tires overheated. You need them in a lot of spots. And you might have a little bit of attack from behind from Felipe, but I think he's a little too far back coming down into the Senna S, and they're going to stay as they were into the first corner. Watch for the exit through Curva de Sol. I think this is going to be a bit more decisive.
So, out of the race then, William Augustine, Fido Moreira and Dalton Zavadil. They will score zeros out there. The points score all the way down to 25th. And even if you retire from the race, you still score points. So, what we can gather from this, Augustine Torlashi has at least got 1 point in his pocket, Joe.
That's the upshot that he's got at least. But as we check back in with our leaders, really not a whole lot to report. Reed over Ariel, over Rankin. I think the surprise for me is Mitchell de Jong running in 5th. Maybe that is him just saying, you know what, I really don't need to ruffle feathers in this race. I know I'm in, because Mitchell's usually one of those that is challenging for the victory.
He normally is. Now, I got wrapped around the knuckles for saying where he was from wrong last time out. He's the man from Temecula who's driving his molecular.
Okay, well, he's definitely going fast. That is all that really matters here, because he's within those top 5 and only about 2.5 seconds off the lead. Anybody who makes a mistake in this top group will still pay the price, most likely. So, yes, it looks a little dull up here, but I guarantee you that they can't afford any hiccups up at the front.
Absolutely not. They'll be driving at 10 tenths. They'll be thinking about tyre saving. Track temperature's only 27 degrees. Here goes Torlashi to the inside. Another look to try and find his way past Felipe Dantas, who does not bow, who does not bend, who does not brake to the pressure, but he does run wide out of the Curve de Sol onto the Heta Posta, and this is where the move is going to have to be figured out properly here by Torlashi. They're even on the brakes, and he's almost pushing him through the corner there with the driver behind of Dino Felipe trying to have a sniff. Argentine.
I was watching on my end, and I'm pretty sure there was, in fact, some contact between the two of them. Very slight, mind you. But Augustine is really got it right up to as close as he could go, just keeping himself in range just in case. Behind you can see some side-by-side between Wing and Flavio Dantas. We've got a little bit of replay here with Moretto. This is coming down into the...
That's deep.
Oh, yeah, that's way too deep. He was on the opposite side of where he was before, where he was the inside car and washed out.
I'll tell you what, Nascimento might have your Trilux move of the race there with that. 2 for the price of 1, and he didn't even have to break a sweat.
I think what he'd really want to take in this is the points to make sure that he is through into those top 8 as we watch the 22 continue to try and stick with this group, see if he can get anything out of Felipe Dantas and Felipe Giuliotto down into the Senna S, and he's taking a lot of curb. Yeah, he's being aggressive here because he knows that he's going to be right on top of him coming out of the Curva de Sol.
Yeah, Felipe versus Felipe out there as they battle to see who is the best. And I say to both of them, Felipe, baby, stay cool. You've still got half a race to go and get these moves done and to hold the place or to make the pass out there at this moment. They'll climb back up the hill, then over towards Ferradura, turn 6, out there on circuit. And this is going to be a case of when and where do you want to make these passes. Still some side-by-side back here. Kilif's Giannis is now under threat from the Bolivian Daniel Molina. Molina just aces the inside and says, you don't take that apex, that's my apex, you're not getting that. Giannis tries to fight back for it. Oh, and he gets a little out of shape there into the essay. So that just tells you something. Giannis is pushing, I think, a little too hard to hold position.
And Molina's confident. He chopped down to the apex there at turn 8 with confidence to make sure that that car did not take it away from him. I think a lesser driver would have maybe left a little bit of room and could have possibly opened the door. Coming back to this 4-car battle for 13th, lucky number 13, and they're actually getting close to lap number 13 as well. Felipe versus Felipe and Torlashi versus Felipa. We got 2x2. Noah's Ark coming into the first corner, Jake.
Yeah, and just like that, Dino Felipa moves himself ahead, and he must make his way ahead and gain quite a fair few places out there for the number of points he walks in behind. So Felipe Dantas couldn't get the move done, but Dino Felipa could, and so that puts him up the position. Moving out now, Rodrigo Abreu looking for a way to go and get this place, and now he realises, I'm going to have this lunge down the inside, and Noah Wing gives him all the space, runs very wide off the exit, has to take a trip through the grass, and Rodrigo Abreu tries to shut the door as they climb the hill up to this section. But look at this, no chance, I'm not going to let that one go away here to Ferradura, just about gets the clearance, thank you very much. Abreu looks to go low, and they both go sailing deep. They're trying to cut each other off. This is big battling here. It's about who wants to be brave here, 19th and 20th.
I think this is a bit personal. Abreu, one of our Brazilian drivers, goes to the inside, absolutely muscles his way past, gives a little bit of a hip check on his way out, says this is a South American circuit, not a North American one.
Has someone told him that this is a Porsche series and it's not touring cars, Joe?
Apparently not. But I mean, that's the fervor that we tend to expect from Brazilian drivers. No attack, no chance.
And speaking of attacks and chances, Felipe Dantas has lost the place to Dino Felipa. As look at this here at the front. Xander Reed slowly being reeled back in then for position, and we're seeing these moves that are oh so important to make. So that is going to be critical here. Ariel's going to get there. There's smoke, and where there is smoke, there is fire out there, as there has been an issue out there at the opening corner for Bruno De Carmo. We'll take a look at this right now. I think he's come together with Francisco Camillo trying to make the move, Joe.
He did indeed, and this is one of those things where I wonder if Francisco might get himself a penalty, sent it in deep, and tried to keep it down to the inside. From that angle, it didn't look as bad, but he certainly was the car that had to try and make a safe overtake, so that could go either way.
It very much could out there in a moment like this. Now, let's just get a little bit of stock here right now for Augustin Tolashi's championship. He's currently down 2 spots to Dino Felipa, so he's losing 4 points to him. He is the nearest threat out there at the moment, so he is very safe as far as the championship goes. There he is, it's someone like Hadinoa Mimasi who is going to be looking to book his place in at the moment, and he will be very comfortable out there. And he's a driver who didn't start hot, got himself caught up in incidents in the first 2 rounds, Joe, but he has gone on an absolute tear for points out there, a 5th and a 3rd, Watkins Glen and Miami.
And then Sean Campbell as well, actually getting a little bit back to his roots, running the Vintage Series and taking a win in the Lotus 49s in their broadcast race just a week ago. He's joined by Ralph Benitez there in 8th, who's just a little bit too far back to try and catch up to him. But he's got to watch out, because we've already seen Camilo is definitely one who is a little bit impatient today, is not going to sit around if he gets back up to him.
No, this is definitely someone who is turning around and saying, I'm definitely looking for points. And Francisco Camillo will be in that 9th place. Luis Schirmer rounds out your top 10. Camillo will be turning around, Joe, and saying, well, if I didn't have a 32nd and a 27th at the start of the season, I'd be fighting for this.
Yeah, exactly. As we come back to the group that we've been watching, fighting for quite some time. In fact, things have heated up because Dino Filippa has managed to get by all of them now, and he's up 15 positions. You mentioned he had to deal with that qualifying ban. There you see on the bottom. Now that he's cleared this, can he start to run away, or is the toe going to keep those 3 in touch with him?
Well, they're close, and he knew that he's had mission impossible to do as Dino Filippa to try and get his place into the top 8. So he's looking around at this going, well, I'm going to need a lot more than that to go and get me back. Tolashi then watching Dantas and Juliata just in front, and that the move for the race lead. Great pass there by Gustavo Ariel. That one came out of nowhere, and Zander Reed knows it. It's been the Coanda show all day long, and that one not without its contact on the way through. There was a little nibble at the nose there from Zander Reed, and he's not going to get this one back here at the Skid del Lago. And isn't there going to be a lot of pride here for Gustavo Ariel wanting to have a victory on virtual home soil?
Indeed, and we talked about it earlier. That's our 2 big teams that often get the limelight, Verstappen versus Coanda. And this wasn't something where it was just, I think, a complete surprise. I think Gustavo had been working on this for a long time. He finally got enough of a run, and there was almost a half-hearted defense initially there from Zander that eventually I wonder if he felt like it was just, you know what, let's not fight this too hard. Let's let him through and see what plays on later in this race.
I think this is a case of, have I saved enough tyre to go for it later on? This big, long, arcing run out of Junsao, and now climbing up the hill, then to Esquina dos Boxes, to Arquibancadas, and then over to another lap that has been sorted out here in the Porsche Esports Supercup America's regional qualifiers. This is where Gustavo Ariel looks to try and stretch his legs at 0.3 of a second, and defensive line taken by Miguel Costa. So now can Mitchell de Jong find a way into that 4th position just behind? Answer's no.
Now, Mitchell's staying patient at least for the time being. We're going to keep half an eye on that battle for what is now 14th, because you can see the pink car, number 8, Dino Filippa, has run away. But there's a big move down to the inside by Felipe Dantas. They don't wreck each other, but that was very close to an accident.
And they've now just dragged back Augustin Tolashi into this group, and I think he realises here just how much of a scrap that he is currently up in. Into Ferradura goes the likes then of Mitchell de Jong and Miguel Costa as they battle out any one spin, mistake, you name it, and any retirement from here on out. You're going to see all your points go bye-bye. So even drivers like Miguel Costa, who's 6th in the championship on 113 points, he treads with trepidation with every move that's made.
And we have to remember, Tolashi sitting 8th in the points. The driver directly behind him coming into this race, Gabriel Moretto, had a horrible start, was involved in a turn 1 incident. Well, Gabriel is, I think, only 3 seconds behind him right now. So if Tolashi has anything to try and make this pass, he's got to try and keep up with this group, as there's a car around now.
Flavio Dantas, who's gone around. So he's had a spin at the Pico de Pato, and that's a freebie for Gabby Moretto to go through and get that done. Another no-dice move then for Mitchell de Jong, who's just staring, and can't get there. Let's get a little look then at what happens then on this one here, because this is coming up to the Pico de Pato, so he's already trying to push his way through. Then at the Pinarino, he comes up the hill, and now what does he do? He goes for the big lunge down the inside, and then he just gets himself a little too far into the car in front there, Joe, and ultimately he gets his rear tapped and he goes around for it.
Yeah, the other driver's always going to try and make the over-under, and you could try to park it at the apex, but you always run the risk of getting turned like that. And looks like it was the 9 of Noah Wing potentially involved, as he's now set his sights up to Nascimento for 19th position, but Neto is just a little bit too far away, although gives him a little hello, and you can see Noah Wing definitely sporting a little damage on the nose.
Yeah, you can tell that people have been pushing out there, and they see quite a few dented noses from time to time, depending on who's been deciding, Joe, that they want to bump draft in various elements of the circuit.
Well, if you're bump drafting hard enough that you damage the nose, then you're probably doing it a little bit wrong here. If you got that much momentum, you might as well go past that car ahead. I think it has just been a wrestling ring out there for this one. Unfortunately, the drivers have been super physical in this race. And remember, one of our talking points, iRacing stewards are watching. You could cost yourself a ticket to the big show.
Mitchell de Jong to the outside again. This time he'll sweep around here, and there's not much Miguel Costa can do. He just lets him have it then through the second part of the CNRS, through to the Curva do Sol, and Miguel Costa finds out that he is back in 5th place, and Mitchell de Jong climbs back up to where he started in 4th with just 5 minutes to go on the Americas season.
That means Coanda is now 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the track. Again, just looking unstoppable, this regionals championship. Although Miguel's taking a little bit of a peek here and there, trying to get himself back into it. We'll see if he's got anything for him in these final 4 minutes of the race. Noah Wing still working on Neto there for that 19th position. He's not as close this time into turn 4.
Nope, so he's not going to get there at the Skid Largo. He's going to have to climb back up the hill and hope there's going to be another opportunity to make that move, and you've got to set yourself up and plan the moves. It is a circuit where you can go almost every single corner side by side, Joe, but to get yourself every corner side by side, you have to get side by side in the first place, and that's the problem here for Noah Wing right now as he drops down the hill at the Pinarino. Wonderful corner and climbs back up the end. There is Neto Nascimento with his favourite circuit, Interlagos, directly beside him on the wall.
I'm sure that's no accident, and decoration showing a little bit of local pride as they come up to one of the more critical corners. You talked about how you can get yourself side by side. Well, you got to be thinking forward here. This is one of those corners you really got to set yourself up, have a good line, have a good exit. The exit probably the more critical aspect on this one, and I think Noah nailed it. Here we go.
Yeah, he's going to get a good run here, and so too is Augustin Tolashi. Does he decide to send one to the inside here of Felipe Juliato? He does! There's contact! He turns Felipe Juliato across the nose. He's going to drop a bunch of places, and now you start wondering here, Joe, the stewards, are they going to have to get involved with Tolashi with penalties?
Unfortunately, it's going to be a late night for them. I fear they're going to have a lot of work to do for this one. I said that the drivers are likely going to have to get their elbows out. I think they've been getting more than just their elbows out. They're up to their shoulders and pushing and shoving.
And Juliato out the frying pan into the fire, fighting Daniel Molina to try and get at least a semblance of something back up the hill with 3 minutes to go in the season. Tries around the outside here of Ferradura and does not get what he wants. He just can't slam the power down. He looks back at Essay to go and make the move, but Molina has got that one scouted and covered, and that might be an important talking point in the final stages of this season. We will not know until the briefing is prepared, but we are 2 laps away from the end of this race when they cross the line, because it's Gustavo Ariel clear in a 6-car trade at the front.
Really impressed with how Ariel has been dealing with this one, going for the lead, showing that he can bounce back from the disappointing finish of last week. But back down to the 14 once again, Rodrigo Abreu versus Torlashi, who's now got maybe a little bit of sort of Damocles hanging over his head with what could be an incident investigation. How aggressively will he defend?
Well, we've talked about this all day, Joe. He doesn't have to fight this, and he goes wide again, going through the Curva do Sol, and he's been involved in a couple incidents here and there that might have cost him over the course of this run, and he's been looking around. I wonder whether he would be benefiting with a voice there, and I don't know what Pablo Mercerat has been saying in his ear, but this is not the Augustin Tolashi we've heard this season. There's only one other driver with a spotter in this one, Joe, right now. It's Mitchell de Jong. He's got Luke Pennington in his ear.
So as we, and it's on once again with Molina, almost leaning to the side of him. Good catch there. I thought that car was going around, instead around the outside.
Oh, bye-bye.
Oh, and it did eventually work its way facing backwards.
Well, not how you want it to happen. White flag then on the Americas season, and it is Gustavo Ariel who is on top, who is finding out that he has got an almighty margin. They bounce over the first curb and work down through the center S to the curve of the Sol. He has walked away and managed the tyres better than anybody else in these conditions. He's pushing to a level, I mean, you can push like Elvis Rankin right now and go all the way out if you really want to, but Gustavo Ariel has proven why he is one of the best in the world. He has understood why he has drivers who are in this series racing who help with his setup shop in Brazil. There's a reason why Gustavo Ariel has over 12,000 iRating when it comes to closed wheel racing on the road. He is one of the best to do it. Zander Reed, who is the championship leader, who will walk as far as the map stands into the Porsche Esports Supercup as the America's champion, will be saying, right, this is what I need to do, and this is how I have been able to just manage my season in a way where Zander Reed, get this, has not finished outside of the top two all season long. Ariel knew he needed a response after Miami getting spun at the opening corner. Boy, has he decided, I want to come back with it. He looks very much calm, like this is another day at the office for him. Through now the Desquita dos Boxers, the Arquibacandas will now rise in unison. Gustavo Ariel, it's mine. The season finale is mine. And he gives it the big old smoke to say it's his.
Yeah, that one was important to him, and check out the results as well behind him. He was up against 5 Americans and a Brit, the lone Brazilian at his home track, and he's the one that came out on top.
Please call him Canadian out there, Hedi Mamasi. The rest of the drivers will come through, and it is going to be a case of just double-checking the math, because we believe Augustin Tolashi's through, but it is pending incident review out there. But this is your Mobil 1 winning moment.
Again, I think the 5 just put on an amazing race. I can't stress enough how hard it is to make passes when you get to the top level in the Porsche Esports ladder here on iRacing. The margins are so small. To be able to get by someone takes incredible planning, a lot of hard work, and just real precision. So a pass for the lead is not as common as you would think up here. And Gustavo making it, I mean, he looked smooth with that one. It really told the story of today.
Yeah, started 5th, and he had to work his way up. So 5 in P5, working his way up to 4th, to 3rd, to 2nd, and he found the back of the number 2, Zander Reed, and said, you know what, here's how I'm going to do it. The way that you're supposed to here at Interlagos. He thinks turn 1, and the moment that he moved over to Zander Reed, he's not going to sit back. He's going to go, right, I'm sending this one down the inside. Ariel gets it alongside, and Zander Reed very cleverly there on that switchback, slightly opened out the steering there as he went through Joe to say, I am going to let you have it because I don't want to fight you that hard.
Yeah, he was trying to be smart about things, but at the same time, I think he was trying to set himself up. Okay, maybe if I get a good exit, I could fight back, but that never came to fruition. So he hung out, accepted the 2nd place, knew that he did coin the crowd as we take a look at our results.
30 minutes and 41 seconds for Gustavo Ariel. He wins by 1 over Zander Reed, with Elvis Rankin, Mitchell de Jong and Miguel Costa making your top 5, all 5 of them booking their place. In fact, your top 7 all booked their place, with Hedi Mamasi and as well Sean Campbell there in that 7th place. Ralph Benitez gets a good 8th place ahead of Francisco Camillo and Luis Shermer to round out your top 10. Bruno De Carmo, Victor Veloso, and then Dino Felipe, your biggest mover for SDR, up to 13 by the end of running, but too little too late with Felipe Dantas 14th, and provisionally I would say Tolashi is in pending penalty review with a 15th place finish today for Thibaut Courtois Esports. It's Rodrigo Abreu and Leandro Lanzendorf for hardline just behind, with Neto Nascimento, Noah Wing and Gabriel Moreto. What could have been if he was not turned around at turn 1. Felipe Juliato and Flavio Dantas then 21st and 22nd ahead of Esteban Adriano, Achilles Giannasis, Daniel Molina. They're the last finisher in 20th 25th. Dalton Zavadil turned around. Fidel Moreira doesn't get what he wants, and neither does William Augustine, who finds himself in the barriers at the Curva do Sol. So some big drama then that has befallen many out there in the run of racing that they have had to go out and deal with. And Joe, I think that has been critical in terms of saying, look, here's been where the result has been. And that guy there, he's going to be a very happy man. Gustavo Ariel stood by with you, Joe.
Indeed. And speaking of people having to deal with dramas, you had yours last round, Gustavo. How much of today's win is you trying to solidify yourself points-wise, and how much of it was a personal, I need to show that I have not lost it?
Yeah, it was the tough times, right? This championship, but to come here and to have the opportunity to deliver one more time before the World Championship, I think it's really good because the confidence is really high. When you have a good result going to the World Championship, of course, it's a different thing, but I prepare myself a lot for this round, and to put the result on track here, and to overtook like a one car per time, and passing 4 cars and win the race to show our potential. So today we put everything on the table, right? And it was a nice race.
And speaking of those overtakes, they are possible here, but when I was just saying, when you get to this level at the sharp end of the field, it's so hard to make those passes. Were you surprised that you were able to get by 4 cars?
Yeah, I mean, I was not happy with my qualifying. It's not been my best moment throughout this season, and I mean, when the light went green, I just think, oh, how I'm going to pass this guy, because in the lap 1 everyone is fighting, the car is under steering. So I was just waiting an opportunity, and I saw the guys behind was not that close, so I could prepare all the exits, right? And when Miguel and Mitchell was fighting, it was my perfect timing to wait and to pass both at the same time, and to put myself on P3 was needed to win this race, because then was just a matter of time to pass Elvis. I know my pace was good, and Elvis don't close the door on me, so this helps, of course, because when you have 2 teammates, P1 and 2, you know, it's even difficult to pass, right? But I could pass Elvis, and when I came to pass Xander, I think he was not expecting me to dive bomb there on the turn 1, and it was a great move, and was a clean fight with everyone else. No big contacts or penalties I think I'm going to receive, because it was everything clean. I know I'm a very aggressive driver, but I had a great time there, and the guys congratulate me after the race. This is a very fair play kind of win a race, right? So I think was nice.
Yeah, I'd say so. And your move for the lead definitely impressed me, coming from a little ways back and making it nice and clean. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. And I want to say a big thank you to my team as well. I want to say a big thank you to Verstappen Team Racing, all our partners, Simicube and Asher, for the top equipment. And I want to say a big thank you as well to everyone in my racing school. I have a racing school by Gustavo Ariel. So if you guys want to have some coaching there, we have a lot of people there, more than 200 people that we coach with all the guys. So it's a pleasure to be here. I want to say also a big thank you and to send a kiss to my girlfriend, Anna. She's supporting me all the season. So it's been ups and downs, and without her on my side, I think it would be even more difficult to deliver. So I want to say a big thank you. And to my friends on Discord. So everyone was there supporting me. And when you have the right people on your side, I think it's really good, right, to enjoy the time and to put it on track here. So thank you to everyone, and see you all on the World Championship. Let's have some fun. One more season. Will be my 4th season in the World Championship on PASC. So I'm excited to go there, and my goal is to finish in top 5 on the championship. So let's work for that, right?
Thanks for that. That was Gustavo Ariel, our winner today. Finishing in fifth was Miguel Costa. Miguel, you had a bit of a fight there with Mitchell de Jong, but you were sandwiched between the Coanda cars. What was the feeling inside when you saw yourself in the big old sea of purple and orange?
Yeah, I mean, I was quite nervous, to be honest. I think, especially qualifying, I think it went better than expected, at least position-wise. But the lap felt okay, but especially to be, like, splitting the Coandas was quite surprising. And then from lap 1, immediately, we had a huge fight with Gustavo, me, and Mitchell. We almost crashed out of turn 5, so that was very stressful as well. And then the whole race, I could tell Mitchell was saving his tires really well. And then at the end, I think he was just way quicker than me, and I think had more off-tracks to use as well. So I think... it was very difficult to keep him behind in the end. I tried my best, but he was just a bit too quick.
And Miguel, you are provisionally in, from what we understand, based on your finish today. As a privateer, how much does that mean to you? Because you're up against some real titans out there in terms of teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, obviously, to be qualified, but I can't give a bigger thanks to Hattie and Sean as well, because I've been working with them for all the preparations for every round. So big thanks to them as well. They've helped me a lot, learn a lot about the car, the setup, and everything. So without them, I don't think I would have been able to qualify. But still, amazing to be qualified, of course, and big thanks.
That was Miguel Costa finishing fifth today, and he was followed home by Sean Campbell, who finished in seventh as well. Sean, I got to ask you, because I made, of course, a mention that you managed to take a win in the Lotus 49s last week on their broadcast. How do you manage to be so versatile here on iRacing, hopping in such different cars and being just as quick? We might not have Sean. It looks like. Sean, do you have a copy? This is Joe up in the booth. Don't know that we have Sean here with us, unfortunately. Not hearing his microphone. So let's head on over, Jake, to our results.
Yeah, it looks like your top 8 are set, and it is provisional, we have to say, unofficial at this moment, with Xander Reed, Mitchell de Jong, Elvis Rankin. We knew they were in already. Sean Campbell up in 4th ahead of Gustavo Ariel, with Miguel Costa, Hadi Nurmimasi, and pending review, Augustin Tolashi is also into the dance right now of the Americas region, which is huge in terms of the role and the weight of responsibility that now sets out for these drivers, and they know very, very well how crucial that is. Joe, how about another go?
All right, now I think we got him. You got a copy here, Sean?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I can't read apparently.
It's all good. I was asking you, of course, I'm going to bring up the win in the Lotus 49s last week on their broadcast. How do you manage to go to such disparate cars on the iRacing service and still manage to be quick in so many of them?
I think there's an aspect to that that's really important, honestly, about like just doing so many different things, is that you don't really get tired of doing anything, right? And then everything you do kind of leads into each other. When you drive so many cars, it's like you jump in a new car that comes out and it's like, oh, it drives like these 3 other cars I've driven before. And so it all like translates together. I know the Lotus 49 is not really that similar to the Porsche Cup on like face value, right? Because it's so unique, but honestly, the way you have to brake in the 49 and conserve the tires in that regard is really similar. So I think it actually kind of helps me a little bit with that. Obviously, I'm still not as good as like Mitchell and them, right? It's like took off halfway through the race through the tire conservation. But I think it works. I think driving that many cars does help.
Well, enough looking at cars from the past. Let's look forward. You should be in that top group advancing provisionally. What do you do from here off to the Super Cup to prepare?
Practice more. I don't know. Got to figure out the qualifying nerves. That's a big one, because that's so important in this car, because overtaking is a little more difficult now, to say the least. But yeah, qualifying is so huge. It is going to be giant in this grid, where in PESC it'll be like with 5/10 through the whole grid probably.
Yeah, it's going to be close. We'll keep an eye out for you, and congratulations on being through. Back to you, Jake.
Absolutely wonderful running. We have got 8 who already have their place booked in. And the best part about it is we've got another 8 that we've got to try and get through and say, look, they're also booking their place in the Porsche Esports Super Cup, which will be coming up on the other side of this, ladies and gentlemen. There is so much more great racing to come up as we head now over to your MEA region on the other side of this.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Locks you to the floor, waiting for an open door. The clock is ticking, make your move. Here's your signal, time to prove. Can you hear me now? 'Cause I'm shouting through the noise. Can you hear me now? It's time to make a choice. Break the chains and rush the gates. Hurry before it's too late.
We hold ourselves on the Bass Strait here on the gateway towards the Antarctic. Welcome to Cowes, Victoria, and welcome to Phillip Island. A high-speed thrill ride that will decide champion, or it will find someone who says, guess what? Not my season, not my chance. Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup for the MEA region, for the Middle East and Africa. And what a way we have to go and finish off this season. I'm Jake Sperry, Joe Peak, along with me. Joe, I will argue this right now till I am red in the face. This championship season has been the most entertaining of all four.
I would completely agree on this one. The races, I mean, let's be honest, coming into it, we thought, oh, these aren't going to be all that fun. There's not that many cars. The drivers took that personally, and they said, you know what? We're going to have fun out there because that's what racing is about. If we're not here to enjoy ourselves, what are we doing?
Absolutely, and so they're enjoying themselves, but they are doing so in the knowledge that they are trying to qualify for the Porsche Esports Supercup. And here's how they do it.
Welcome to the Porsche Esports Supercup, the virtual one-make series with some of the fastest drivers in the world, where every lap matters and every mistake can end your season. With all drivers in the same car, tackling the same conditions, an exciting format, a brilliant prize, and the chance to make the jump from the virtual track to the real one for a full season. There are two ways in: official Porsche National Championships and Global Open qualifiers, where 4 race weeks will decide who rises, with the fastest drivers advancing. The regional championship will be comprised of races across 4 regions. Drivers go head-to-head across multiple rounds, but only the fastest move on. Drivers will compete across 5 full race weekends, but at the end, only one driver can claim the title of World Champion, along with the cash prize. From this pool of drivers, a select few will be chosen for the next stage. The talent shootout is not just another test, it is a chance to prove you belong in real-world racing. Here, every corner counts, every decision is judged, and only the driver with the speed, composure, and potential to step into a real race car will stand out. Is that you?
Right, let's talk points then as they walk into tonight and understand that only 8 of them are going to walk through, and the key is going to be this. Shivesh Bassoon sits on the bubble by 7 points. Oliver Heasley is going to need to get at least 4 places above to go and make his job a reality. It's not impossible out there. Mehdi El Fati at +10, also not safe, Joe.
Exactly, and this also includes the bonuses that they have for qualifying, which as right now, it looks like there's not too many surprises on that front. However, you really don't want to count anything out. We've seen with these drivers willing to take some risks out there, you've got to start thinking big picture on this one.
Yeah, and there are pictures, for example, like Patrick Kessel and Dylan Allen, who are thinking about who's going to come out on top from the MEA region. So there is a lot that they have to navigate their way through, but they know that this will be, Joe, their final countdown to the end of the season. This is going to be an all-important final battle that they find themselves on.
Yeah, and this is where things kind of flip around to what I said earlier, where, yes, they're here to enjoy themselves, they're having fun out there, but I think it gets serious at this point. The final countdown means that there's big consequences out there if you are underneath the cut line. So maybe that could mean we see a little bit less aggressive racing. Maybe it means it'll be more. It's hard to tell, but I think it's going to be one extreme or the other.
And with that, we know that most of the drivers have got themselves booked in to the Porsche Esports Supercup, Joe. This, for them, will be a case of a final chance of understanding. In quote, they're working for the weekend.
Yeah, because now, of course, it's going to be about managing to get yourself into PESC and make sure that you can be able to compete in that big show. For many of the drivers, like you said, it's going to be, okay, what can we learn looking forward going to race in the Porsche Esports Super Cup? Because they're going to be up against some very steep competition. They're going to be in the deep end of the pool, if you will. And unfortunately for them, it's going to be sink or swim. So they do need to learn lessons now.
Yeah, now more than ever, and I think that is the real key of how they go. And I'm sure that someone was watching me over in the Americas region, but someone's still watching me now here in this area, and that's because you still have to worry about points and penalty.
And what did we see with the Americas regions? You could wind up getting a little bit too hot-headed and caught up in the moment. We as drivers call it the red mist. Don't let that cloud your judgment here today. You need to make smart decisions, because maybe you get that move, maybe you lock yourself in, but then after the race, suddenly you find, well, it was all for nothing because you went just a little bit too far with it.
Yeah, it really does make a show of differences. Let's take a look then at your TDK track analysis of a circuit that is lightning fast in terms of top speed, a 4.44 kilometer, again, anti-clockwise circuit that we find ourselves with. Big overtaking opportunities. The Southern Loop at turn 2, Jungle Jack Miller's corner at turn 4, and then down Lukey Heights into MG at turn number 10 that sets you up for the end of the lap.
And I'd say that MG really isn't usually a good place to pass, or at least it's very difficult to make it happen. The big thing about this track is you need to be a well-rounded driver, because you've got just about every corner represented over the course of these 12 turns that you could possibly think of. Off camber, on camber, you have compression zones, you have crests where the cars will get light, you have corners that take you onto long straightaways, you have those short technical bursts. So you really need to be versatile if you want to be quick here.
Yeah, and that versatility is going to be absolutely key. Your Loctite race analysis, just 30 minutes remaining on the season, a standing start. It will have to be. There are no planned stops. Top 8 in the region move on. If you're on the outside looking in, well, unfortunately, you hit the brakes here, and you have to wait for another year to get your chance to drive in the Porsche Esports Supercup. So still a lot to try and understand then in the final stages of this season, and go, look, this is what you need, and you can join and be a part of this next year by getting a new membership with iRacing. Get on track with us. It's 30% off of a brand new membership. And Joe, you can scan that QR code or head to iracing.com/membership to get yourself involved.
Yep, if you're looking at this and saying, I could do that too, you can actually prove that, and that's the beauty of iRacing, is it is open to anybody. They can get out there, give it a try, see if they've got what it takes to try and knock it with the best.
Yeah, so keep an eye out on that. See who is going to stand up on song and prove that they are better than all of the rest. We have this opportunity to take a look at this flying lap. No shocks. He's got the clean sweep at the front of this field in terms of qualifying. Patrick Kessel, the Cape Town King, making sure that he's got it exactly how he wants to all over again. It's a lightning fast start then along the Gardner Straight as you look to set your mark for Doon Corner. Some cars you lift, some cars you don't. If you listen into this one as you look to try and go through the opening corner, you just have to tiptoe it in, hope that you get it out the other side and realise, okay, now here's my big breaking point. The Southern Loop here, turn 2, up and over the crest, hug it to the curb as much as you dare, try and get yourself as far to the right as you can off the exit, and now you can sweep through Casey Stoner's corner, turn number 3, and over to Jungle Jack Miller's corner at turn number 4, to great of the two-wheeled world.
And of course, this is going to be one of the most popular places for passing because it's heavy braking into Miller. But the thing is, sometimes the battles carry on, and that takes you to Siberia. If you are on the outside, it's not over. This is one of those cambered corners where you can carry the speed the long way around sometimes. Now we're up to one of the highest parts of the circuit, through Hayshed, just easily flat out through here. But it's tricky at Lukey Heights. You can see it kind of deceives you because you need a little bit of an early apex, but you got to keep it tight for later on so that you can stay to the left down to MG. Big compression zone at this hairpin. It's so hard to make passes though.
It is, and then you've got these sweepers, 11, where you're trying to put the power down, but you've got to wait forever to do so. And then this is your setup, turn 12, final corner out there. Very easy to run it in the grass, the gravel, and find that your day is written off before it has begun. And a home of some V8 supercar action, time and again. Who remembers what Scott McLaughlin had when he ran out of fuel here coming to the line? Hopefully none of these drivers get the same fate out there. Grid is now set with Patrick Kessel's time of a 1:27.0. He was 4/10 clear of Avesta Gabadi from the Veloce Academy. It's nice to see him back out there and running. He's looking to just prove what he's got. Dylan Allen will go from third with Ruslan Hamidulin in fourth position. Werner Skoman then is in P5 for Panda City Esports, with Oliver Heasley, the best of those, fighting on the bubble in sixth. He will have one place over Shivesh Bassoon in seventh, and Mehdi El Fati there in eighth place. Non-qualifier on the lap was Jack Johns, who was at his heroics last time out in Okayama, and he'll be hoping for more of the same as far as it goes. And one of the reasons, Joe, why we didn't show what happened at Okayama was because there was so much that went on there. How on earth could we condense that down into a highlights package?
Exactly. We were kind of joking before the show. What happened there? Everything happened. There was so many different incidents that it was difficult to try and condense this one down. But the drivers showed us what's possible when things get shaken up. And I think Patrick Kessel's going to have that in mind. He is not going to want to repeat that same mistake into the first couple corners.
No, he was spun out turn two, and well, it's very easy to get spun out turn two at the Southern Loop, so he'll need a good start out there, and he's going to need to try and prove himself out here today. When you look at Heasley and Bassoon and El Fati and Jack Johns, you're thinking, what is the points difference that we need? With 7 points, the difference out there in the championship between them. You can find out more by scanning the QR code here for the Porsche Esports Super Cup to understand more about this series. But when you're looking around at drivers who are looking for 7 points, you know, when you start qualifying in sixth, the increment actually goes up to 3. So he's currently 3 points clear. He needs to find another 4, so another 2 places currently will get the job done for Oliver Heasley over Shivesh Bassoon. So keep an eye out on that. Mehdi El Fati could help in that regard, so too could Jack Johns. It's all about keeping the pace level up on a circuit that is all about high-end speed and talent and ability to say, my right foot stays planted over to the floor. Kessel, Gabadi, Allen, let's go as we get ourselves to run some slow starts, which include Oliver Heasley, who will see himself with not the best start, but soon all the way to the back. Off of the get-goes, we'll go 3 wide almost into turn 1, sweeping through. Kessel clear, then with what he's got. Gabadi second, Allen third into the Southern Loop. Then it's Hamidulin and Skirman with El Fati with a great start. He jumps down to the inside looking for fifth.
Ruslan was one of those that definitely had a bad start initially, but has done a very good job keeping everybody behind them. Look, things are getting a little bit tense, but now they're going to have to watch out. It's hard to predict which way drivers will go in a Miller.
Yeah, is it left, right, up, down, sideways, slantways? Use the great glass elevator if you must to go and get that sorted. Out of Jack Miller, working away over to Siberia. Still some side-by-side to figure out. Heasley going at it with Jack Johns for position. We go up to Werner Skoman, then and Ruslan Hamidulin as they will clear that under the 4 and 20 signage and head themselves to the hay shed.
And Bassoon was in the background too, almost getting chopped off, so he's going to have to be very aggressive here, I think, to make up some moves, because there's some drivers that are not giving him any room as they come down to MG.
And trouble!
First time!
Heasley and Bassoon get into each other, the two directly on and just outside of the bubble, and tell me it doesn't mean anything for them. Scariest place to have an incident, down the hill to MG. In my view there, that's Oliver Heasley trying to manufacture some space, and Bassoon was just not going to budge. He held his line.
And credit to Jack Johns. He saw that coming and just allowed them to slide in front of him down at MG. Did not get involved. That's going to gift him a lot of time between those behind him. But he has now cost himself some time to those ahead, having to lift like that. So he's got some hard work to do.
Oh, Dylan Allen wide off turn 2, just about keeps himself out the lumps and bumps there on the outside of the circuit. So Dylan Allen holds his ground and says, hey, look, this is what I'm dealing with at this moment in time. Something to note, coastal circuit, Joe, always very, very windy around here, and it's no different, 20 kilometres an hour the wind here. Another look at this. So Bassoon chucks it up the inside of Oliver Heasley. That is all right, though. Gets there at Lukey Heights, up over the top of the crash, and there's the moment. So you see there, he's trying to move over, and Jack Johns, opens the steering. El Matador, you're not going to get me, Mr. Bull, today.
Thankfully not. But yeah, the car wants to track out, and the car to the outside, Heasley just found himself trying to track in because he had a little bit more grip, and they met in the middle in that situation. That's easy to have that happen out there.
So now in this scenario with the contact, again, Steward's review is going to be looking at this, but you're still going to need the places here if you're Oliver Heasley, so you're going to need some help here, you're going to need some strong battling, and you're going to need some instant around this circuit. So it's going to be very tough to see that to change in the championship points, but our focus here is on Skirman and Hamidlin, and every time we've watched Werner Skirman out there, he's always found himself close in a battle, and he's always found himself with a chance, almost running off the road in front of them there was Avesta Gabani, but for the moment it's Skirman trying to hunt down the stunt driver Hamidlin.
Yeah, that southern loop is one of those corners that can be very, very frustrating, especially if you've got an understeery car. It just goes on forever, and it's actually got elevation changes throughout the course of the corner. It's so long, so the car is just constantly changing balance as you're trying to hit multiple apexes through there, and also at times covering off an attack. So you really have to have your wits about you if you want to get the most out of that turn. You can embarrassingly just slither wide out into the gravel before you know it.
Yeah, quicker than anything you can find yourself out there, and you carry the speed, and you very easily find yourself off by a country mile. It's that sort of track where you have to be very much alert in terms of the position that you're dealing with, Joe.
Remember what I said earlier about having awareness of your surroundings in sim racing. Jack Johns, I mean, masterclass right here. This is from on board. And this is not the view that he would see except for maybe out of the rearview mirror, and even that is quite limited. So he's focusing forward. He's looking to try and hit his marks. Then suddenly, oh, cars are approaching. Whoop, off they go. And like I said, just tip it in once they go by. Lost a little bit of time, but at least you're still in the race.
And I tell you what, I am not akin to understanding Jack Johns too much, but I do follow his LinkedIn and the fact that he has done karting commentary with, I believe, a very good friend of ours, Mr. Alex Goldschmidt, Joe. So he knows full well what it takes for, to look absolutely everywhere. You get that from karting skill experience.
Without a doubt, yeah, those races are absolutely nutty. But right now, things have calmed down at least a little bit. They've settled in. Remember what I said about maybe the complexion will change. We've had the franticness in that first lap with the cars coming together. Now it's everybody trying to think, okay, am I in the right position? Do I need to take this spot? Or is this just, all or nothing?
There is Werner Skirman. For the first time this season, he's not in a jumper. He feels it's hot enough out there in his battling to go just to the light shirt as he now looks to work on through here with the bright neon gloves that are there on his steering wheel, and he's really trying to put as much focus. It's a steering wheel there which is a lovely rim steering wheel, but look at that on a direct drive base. That, I think, tells you all you need to know about how he wants to drive. He wants minimal distraction out there with the way that his car's set up.
Sweetie, watch them come down the main straight once again. You get chances to try and make passes into here, but it is tricky. Doohan is so fast, like we saw on the onboard for a pole lap. It's maybe a little brush of the brakes to get the car to turn in, but you can go too wide only if you have respect from your competitor and some room given. So there's some serious trust that has to happen, and you've got to be absolutely inch perfect.
Double J, Jack Johns to the inside of Mehdi El Fati and takes the place away with a comfortable overtake on him and says, look, I'm jumping up, I'm gaining that position. I am very happy passing the Moroccan for that place. And we've noted on a number of times this season, Mehdi El Fati used to be the manager, basically, of Romain Grosjean's Esports team. So he knows what it takes to see big talents go up there to the top. RHG Esports used to be one of the biggest teams in sim racing about 5 or 6 years ago. So I think he knows and understands what it takes to see a team go really big. And he's up against drivers soon, where if he continues in this position, Joe, he'll be up against the very best once again, like Verstappen and the likes then, of course, of Coanda and co.
We're going to hop on board with them, coming onto the main straight. Yeah, look at how tough it is to keep the car within the track there off of that corner. And it's so important to have this speed down the main straight. You're picking it up over 170 miles an hour here coming into this corner, and it's right up to the curb. You can see you actually got to be very careful about hitting that inside curb, because if you unsettle the car, you're not having a small accident.
Joe, do you notice that grid and go chair he's sitting on?
I do see that, yes.
Interesting, isn't it? Because he'll be up against some grid and go team drivers like Hadina Mamasi and Sean Campbell over the course of the season. So he'll have that to think about as well when he gets himself out of that position. But you can see the eyes there wide with focus as he heads his way to Siberia.
Yeah, I think you know more of the tea on those behind-the-scenes teams things than I do, but it's a good sign if he's got maybe a little bit of hat in the ring out there with some of the big teams up at the top level. Should certainly help him out. And as we take a look at the one of Kabadi, Veloce, another one of those big teams, the Cheetah on the side, helping to try and take him to what's looking like a pretty solid podium today.
Yeah, and this has been Avesta Kabadi all season long. Second in Fuji, second in Suzuka, third in Adelaide, non-starter in Okayama, which was a real shame, but currently in second at the moment. He's got karting experience from where he currently lives in the Ukraine, but he's also one of those drivers here, Joe, that when you sit down and watch him, he is lightning fast. The one thing I think he lacks is actually time and experience in iRacing itself. He is very quick in a number of different places. I think he's trying to learn to adapt to the sim here, which is something you don't often get to see from him. And look at him, inquisitive. I don't know who's got better hair, him or Michael Gianni.
We'll have to have a competition on that one as we take a look from behind of Avesta. And definitely doing the best he can to keep Dylan Allen back there. Last lap between the two of them, it was definitely in favor of Avesta, about 0.3 quicker. If he keeps that up, it can be a pretty big gap very quickly.
It can, and it's compound interest when you get out over a second, because suddenly you're not getting that aid of, oh, I've got slipstream to help me through. Once you break that slipstream, it is so much easier to just focus and break away. And there's Dylan Allen, who was buoyed after the victory last time out at Okayama, and he is still trying to fight, trying to focus, trying to get what he can done, and he will have the help of Tim Strickland in his ears, helping him out, keeping him calm, telling him what he needs to do.
So far, so good. Still got about 2/3 of the race left to go. So a long ways. Got to try and stay patient. And as we heard from the drivers over at Sao Paulo, you do have to watch out for the tires a little bit. Now, here, though, it is rather cool, about 71 Fahrenheit on the track surface. So hopefully that's not overheating them. I think the bigger thing is what you mentioned, with this being right on the sea, you can sometimes get quite a few gusty wind changes out there.
And that is going to batter them about. And people don't often realise in iRacing actually how much the wind does play a factor into the braking zone out there, as we focus here with Hamidlin versus Schurman out there for 4th and 5th position. And that wind direction, where it comes from and how it goes, can change your braking marker by about 10 meters out there. It's 16 kilometers an hour wind. It is a tailwind on the front stretch. It's a headwind up to Lukey Heights. And so head turns to crosswind as you head over the top of the hill. Car's going to get light.
Exactly, and things get light here at Lukey Heights, and then compresses hard down at the braking of MG. Managed to get side by side. Perfect illustration of what I've been talking about. You can try to make the pass, but for some reason, the cars both gripping. It is hard to try and finish the job. I think it's better to focus right here. Swan corner onto the Gardner straight. Getting yourself a good exit, getting a slipstream gives you a chance to try and pass into Doohan, which unfortunately for Werner, not going to happen this time.
Formula wheel there for Ruslan Hamidlin, and look at that. That is a karting way to take the corner. Look at how he turned the opposite way into the corner there, going in through turn number 1, did Hamidlin there. He's trying to look into the corner a little bit more, almost like he's trying to get the weight balance of the car to sit on the other side so he can get more out of the tyre. You only get to see that in karting.
And what do they always say? Loose is fast. So yeah, trying to get the car to rotate for you really helps you get that power down earlier. It's just such a balancing job, though, that you've got to do when you've got a loose car like that. So it tends to be a setup that you see in very fast drivers that's very twitchy. It's very pointy, as we like to say.
Yeah, and these drivers have all set their own setups here to say this is how quick I think I can go. Skirman, look at him. He's very uptight with the way that he goes. His shoulders hunched up almost as high as his ears as he looks to try and get it through. He is built to try and get this through, and it looks like he's gripping the wheel tight. I tell you what, I wouldn't want a grip like that out there, but when he settles it back, look, he's got those 3 fingers that are out there, very dainty. And again, we talk about the karting style. That's more of a karting style of how you hold your hands.
It's a good point. And these drivers obviously all have various backgrounds that bring them in. Karting sometimes still something that you see a lot on the way into sim racing. And like you said, it can very much influence how you try and approach an attack, which in these cars, though, that is very intriguing, because that's one of the things that I do hear from drivers a lot is when they make that switch from karting up to real cars, it can be dramatic because these things do not handle like karts at all. These are much bigger, heavier cars. We could have an attack down into Miller. There was a look, but Skoman just could not quite do it.
Well, he feigned to the inside. He postured like I'm going to go deeper on the brakes, and then just hit the same mark that he always did, and there was no move offered with the middle in where he is. But that's not the best Siberia in the world. They'll now fight through the hay shed. Skirman really closing up in within a car length, and he's going to get to the inside here for Lukey Heights. He'll command the apex on the inside. Hamidlin has to give him the room here as he works up over the top of the crest, back down the other side here. Hamidlin chucks it back in. Skirman gives him all the room, but he tries to get the drive to the middle of the corner. Understeer, though, kills the attempt.
Color me impressed. I thought Ruslan had to give that one up when he was on the outside of Lukey Heights. Usually there's not much grip there. It's an off-camber corner. You're coming over the crest, and you need to hug that left-hand side. The fact that he stayed side by side really is what I think sealed the deal. Now, he did get a good launch off of MG as well, and that made sure that there was no re-attack from Werner. But regardless, Ruslan pulling some grade A moves there in defense.
Yeah. Some lovely battling there from Skirman, looking to try, well, from Hamidlin, keeping Skirman behind. And the more that they battle like this, and they did a 28.3 and a 28.6 between them. Jack Johns, 28 flat on that last lap. There he is. He's trying to hunt them down and say, look, I may have started 9th, but I can get to 5th, I can get to 4th. And this might be Jack Johns looking around going, well, I might have chosen not to qualify out there because I actually want to see how good my overtaking skills are.
Decent, I'd say right now, but I think this is going to be a different test because he's got 2 of them to deal with. Now, that actually can play to your advantage. If you're smart about it, you've got 2 cars battling. You try to position yourself to set up and take advantage on the exits of corners because they're going to be distracted with one another. And if one of them compromises their exit, it's always easier to pass on the straightaways. So try to get the launch off the turn and just outgun them and get them potentially sometimes both at once.
Yeah, and so you're looking around at that saying, well, can I kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Answer to that is yes, and we don't need to say that too much. Just remembering Vincenzo Iannone back in the cycling when he headbutted a seagull around MG corner. But for the moment now, as they continue on here, and now into the second half of this race, I just want to point out the fact that Patrick Kessel is 6.5 seconds clear at the front of this field.
I mean, this is pretty similar to what we saw over in the Americas regions where we had a driver that had a bad race on the very first lap. And Patrick Kessel is basically not taking that line down. He's making sure to give himself the opportunity to show, you know what, I'm still quick, Jake. And why don't we take a look at all that did happen last time out?
Absolutely. So there's a lot that's gone on, and it sets the stage for where we are here. We'll catch it picture in picture with you because everything happened, and it started turn 2 when Patrick Kessel got turned around by Dylan Allen. I mean, look how aggressive they were off of the start here, Joe.
Yeah, and that put him 3 wide. He kind of put himself in this position off the start of the race, then try to make sure that he got the lead back, but the car washes out here and they managed to make contact. There's not much room to the outside. That sent him into the wall. His race was immediately over. But that set us up for an amazing run where Jack Johns was trying to play defense for almost the entire race. And what a defense it was.
It was king of the hill stuff, and I tell you what, that was a brilliant charge up the field the other way there, Joe, from the likes then of Dylan Allen. Moves were happening aplenty, dives up the inside, left, right, centre, and suddenly, one at a time, bish, bash, bosh, I'll take these places back.
Yeah, just quite the run up through the order. And that's harder than you'd think at a track filled with hairpins where you'd imagine lots of braking zones. But some of them had problems like that where you go too deep into the one named hairpin appropriately, that you just give the position right back. In the meantime, it was a run to victory in the end by the two of Dylan Allen, just beside himself with joy.
Yeah, he knew how much it meant to get a victory here in the qualifying stage, and that will carry him with momentum into the Super Cup proper. He'll look behind and see that he's got about 3 seconds, 3.5 over Ruslan Khamidulin last time they crossed the line. Khamidulin still having to defend. Skirman getting another good attempt here as he goes over the top of Lukey, having to wait for the transfer in the middle, trying to get the power down. Khamidulin just knows the mark that he needs at Lukey Heights. That's his corner out there. Everywhere else, he's a little bit down compared to Skirman, but it's turn 9, Lukey Heights, that is the Ruslan Khamidulin defence for the rest of the lap.
Ooh, but this is a lot closer coming onto the Gardner straight, and hands off the wheel there from Dylan Allen. That was a little bit interesting.
That was a what more can I do? 28 flat compared to a 27.8. I can't catch him moment out there, and that's very unique what we saw. Khamidulin there, still trying to get that focus on at the moment, working into the southern loop. He's a little deep in on that line, trying to get the big old diamond out to go and get through. Back to the jeweller's box. I'd say, I don't want a diamond, says Werner Skirman. I've got enough jewellery in my box. I want to try and find myself an overtake. Can you manage that for me here out there as he works his way over to Miller Corner once again? No is the answer with a third of the race left.
Yep, I think he's less interested in gems, maybe in some precious metals, some bronze, some silver, maybe some gold out there to get a podium. But he's going to have to work to get by the 7 and then try to catch up to Dylan Allen. This time, he is going to try to gift himself the right-hand side of the track, and he's going to get his elbows out. And Ruslan can't do much on that one. He might be good at this corner, but he's lost the track position.
He has, and look at this, Skirman defense, big lunge, straight back, and that's too deep from Khamidulin. He's off the road, and suddenly Jack Johns is on the scene, and he will jump around the outside, trying to get this done. Now, he's going to need the drive here off the exit of 11, gives him the run here to turn 12. Lovely, that is money printed on the overtake, and shuts the door.
Oh boy, did he shut the door. He heard the clear, and he said, okay, I'm heading towards the apex, buddy. His teammate, thankfully, getting him some room, not teammates actually, pardon me, as they come up towards turn 1 once again. So Jack Johns has gotten by 1, but he's still got a ways to go because it was more down to the mistake from Khamidulin to get him that P5. Is he going to be quick enough to catch up to and then pass Skillman in these last 10 minutes?
I'll double correct you, they are teammates, and they shut the door on each other there, Joe, as teammates, which shows you no love lost.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe no team orders out there for that team, but Ruslan is holding on to the back of him now. He may have been overtaken, but he's making sure that he's being pulled along. Could maybe use a few tips here. I always like the advice of Joey Atterbury on this one. He says if you get overtaken by a quick driver, you start to ride behind them and you take notes. You could always go faster. There's a reason that they're quicker than you, and you can learn.
Yeah, it's the philosophy of, if one driver can set a time out there that's a second quicker than you, why can't every driver?
Exactly. And that's the beauty of sim racing. They're all in the same machinery. Yes, the setups might be slightly different, but technically, you're all in the same car out here. So if they can do it, you can do it.
And they will try and do it at the moment here as Jack Johns now, who is fabled for his defence more than his attack, is now going to have to try and hold Kamidlin out there at this moment in time. Now, we'll take a little look then as far as points are situated at this moment in time. Oliver Heasley has 2 places on Shivesh Bassoon, but it's not enough. He's 3 points shy, which at the moment he is looking for a way to jump up. Now, we're going to talk points and how they score out there. It's 3-point increment here for Oliver Heasley if he gets up to 6th place. He needs 1 more position with Bassoon not picking up that point. If they tie on points out there, Joe, and this is critical, Oliver Heasley would get to 6th, and as this stands, it would be a 6th, a 7th, an 8th, and 2 9ths, playing a 6th and 2 7ths for Shivesh Bassoon. Bassoon would have the count back, so he needs 2 positions.
And unfortunately for him, I mean, it is all up to him. He can't hope for bad luck for Bassoon because he's currently running 9th and last on the field. So now Oliver Heasley has to make up 6 seconds to Ruslan. He has to catch up to either Jack Johns or Werner Skuman, depending on who is going to be the next car up. I think that is way too much to ask for with only 6 minutes left on the clock. At this point, it's practically out of his hands. All he can do is try to push as hard as he can, and he is clearly pushing there, and hope that the cars ahead maybe have some drama.
PC up at the top, wired headset there, and look at the way that dangles right in front of his face there. If that's not distracting, I don't know what is.
Thankfully, I don't think he's looking at that camera too much, so it's mostly distracting for us. He's focused forward. Oliver is going to be regretting how the rest of the season played off. And that's the big thing here, is that when you do kind of go over and debrief how the season went and assess your effort, you have to remember that all the rounds pay the same points. This wasn't won or lost in the last race. It was won and lost over the course of the season. There's always things that you could have done differently in the other races.
And the biggest thing for me with Oliver Heasley, Joe, is the fact that he could not get that car off the grid at Adelaide and had to retire the car immediately.
Yep, exactly. And I believe that was some technical issues on his end, and kind of one of those things that, you know, we said that it's all the same equipment here in iRacing, so we don't have to worry about 2-cent parts failing on you and your race is over. Instead, it's on your PC. You got to make sure that everything is in good working order so that you don't have one of those parts fail when it matters.
Dylan Allen has dropped back recently, and he's lost a second on that last lap, and we'll see what the time is here as he crosses this time around. 28.8 compares to a 27.9. Another second has gone off. I think he's burning through his tyres here as Dylan Allen, and that's putting him right into the clutches of Skoman, and then Johns and Hamidlin are going to look into this one as well. So with what is now down to 4.5 minutes left in this race, podium's not safe. Werner Skoman, you know, he is going to be clamouring for a podium. He has been fourth 3 times this season. He just wants a taste of the step of the podium, and it's given to him there by Dylan Allen.
As Allen almost gets back to the inside, coming down through Miller. He's going to fight it now. I don't think initially he figured that this was his battle, but it finally goes ahead of him. And yeah, Werner, I would say, you know, even without that lift from the number 2, he earned that one. He was the quickest of those 3 on the previous lap, so he was flying.
And Skerman unfazed at this moment in time as he works there in 3rd place. Dylan Allen still trying to talk away here with his race engineer and say, look, I want to try and understand what I've got to do to get myself back into play, but I think I've burnt through everything too quick, and that's going to be a big setup issue, I think, there for Dylan Allen if it's just not playing out there at the moment. And do you notice he's got his virtual mirrors there turned off, Joe, on the left-hand side?
So we've been talking about what could be wrong with this car here, because him giving up...
huge Lyco.
Ooh, he may have not put the right amount of fuel in. Good catch on that, Jake. Coming into the first corner, a big lift, and he's well up there, so I don't think he's in any danger of being outside the top 8, but this is an embarrassing end to the regional season for him.
If there is any circuit, though, Joe, where you can fuel save masses, it's this one, for the amount of high-speed, long braking zones you have here.
Yeah, riding on board now, and you're right. Dylan is doing everything he can to try and conserve. For those that aren't sure what we mean by LICO, lift and coast means that you can basically just lift off the throttle a little bit. You might lose a tenth or two, but then you break deeper into the corner, you carry more momentum, and that can help save you some fuel without losing too much lap time. It's basically you're trying to be as efficient as you can. It's no longer about that outright speed. It's efficiency that is king now.
Very much is on board with him, and Hamidlin then and Jack Johns are jumping up on the scene and saying, look, we want it. Oliver Heasley wants it with time on points if Dylan Allen runs out of fuel heading on to the final lap. Now, get a look at this. Listen in as we head to turn 1.
Whoa. Oh, that is a long ways.
300 meters.
Wow. And you saw him smack the wheel. I think this is why we saw him look frustrated earlier. He knew early on that this was going to be a problem.
It's not just a problem, it's a huge one, and suddenly he's staring down the barrel of Johns and Hamidlin directly behind, who will want to get through, and this can get hairy in the blink of an eye. Does Hamidlin see his opportunity? Jack Johns almost from a mile back trying to send on down in here to Miller Corner, but if every corner is a fuel-saved worry out there at this moment in time, you're starting to wonder what you've got. The only key help that he's got is Patrick Kessel is about to start the final lap of the race, so he knows he's only got 2 laps to make it. The middle in a little slow off the exit, but Dylan Allen pretty okay there through the hay shed, so I think he's going to be worried only this far at the moment with more to do. White flag in the air now for Patrick Kessel, and it's going to be a case of the worries go here to the likes of Dylan Allen, who once again looks around at MG corner, hopes that he can whisper to his fuel tank that he's still got enough to hold. Hamidlin again gets close to the back of Jack Johns. Oh, and he's going to pit. They've all pit. They've all not got enough fuel. Oh my goodness, they've all miscalculated.
This is utterly bizarre. I've never seen something like this in a sprint race before. And they're going to lose positions to Bassoon, which hurts Heasley, but he's gained a ton of spots with this. What does this do to the points?
Well, Heasley's in 4th. That's 37 championship points. Shivesh Bassoon will move up to 6th place. That's 31. That's 6 points. He is 1 point shy at the moment, and he is going to need either Dylan Allen on this final lap to catch Shivesh Bassoon. Look at the gap as it goes through. It's a handful of seconds. It's not impossible here on this last lap. Well, it is now. Dylan Allen's just gone off the road at turn 1, and he's having to fight it back. But there is still a chance that Shivesh Bassoon goes out, and it all depends on whether Dylan Allen can catch him in the final stages. Patrick Kessel will not worry at all. He'll come to the line, big smile, a very sweaty brow as he realises he's got 4 wins out of 5 here in this Porsche Esports Super Cup. Gabadi will get 2nd, Skirman will get 3rd, and the question is, what about Bassoon and Dylan Allen? Allen is monstering up to the back of him right now as they head to the hay shed. There is Oliver Heasley. He's going to be in 4th place, and he's going to get 37 points. There is the question of the stewards in regards to Shivesh Bassoon, but Dylan Allen is all over him here. Look at the way he closes. This is the last great braking zone to go and get something done, and look how slow Bassoon is as he closes in. Dylan Allen's all over him here. He's going to need to catch the slipstream. He's going to need to find a way. Shivesh Bassoon, you're going to need to plant that right foot all the way down to the floor. Tape it down with a brick, why don't you? And hope you've got enough to make it. Dylan Allen desperately trying to get this back through the final corner, but he's going to run out of time. Shivesh Bassoon puts himself in the Porsche Esports Super Cup on a wing and a prayer.
You know, I had said everything had happened at Okayama. I don't think everything happened. That is a twist I did not see coming.
Oh, wow. What a race. What a day. Patrick Kessel's already done with this one, and he knew how important it was. This, your Mobile One winning moment.
I think Kessel may have had the calmest race of anybody out there today in that number 3. 13 seconds ahead of Gabati there up at the front. Just schooled everyone. He may have lost the last one. He may have made a bit of a mistake, but he said, you know what? I'm not going to make that same mistake twice. I'm going to show you guys who's boss here.
Absolutely. I can confirm then, as far as this day goes, a huge result out there, and we did actually get the understanding of the grid and go see as we watched the Trilux move of the race for Mehdi El Fati. It was because he is driving in Johan Ried. See, this is the move of the race. Jack Johns. Whoa, what a save.
Yeah, that unfortunately gave him a 9th place in the end because of the fuel issue out there, which apparently was not the only car. Just fantastic self-awareness in that situation. I'm hearing that Oliver Heasley ran out of fuel at the line.
80% of this lap is full throttle, so I'm not shocked, but Jack Johns, opens the steering, sees them all dive through, and Bassoon and Heasley across them on the front. What could have been if that contact hadn't have happened? What a race, but it's a calm one at the front for Patrick Kessel. He gets the job done by 30.7 over Avesta Gabati. Werner Skoman, his first podium of the season, and it is well-deserved here at the championship finale. Oliver Heasley, a 4th place. That could have been enough to get him over the line, but Mehdi El Fati in 5th, and the difference between being in and out, Joe, is just half a second.
It all came down to that. We said that it'll get a little bit more serious, and unfortunately, it was a simple mistake that I think cost at least one driver what could have been a big moment in their sim racing career.
A big moment so far, because there will be more times and there'll be more chances to go and pick that up. Joe, you're stood by with your race winner, Patrick Kessel.
Indeed. Patrick, we've been talking a lot about how last round maybe was a bit of a hit to the ego. Is this what you needed to boost yourself back up?
I mean, last round I didn't really... I tried forgetting it. It was a silly mistake on my end, and then I didn't expect it to go this well, but hey, it helps the ego a bit after last round.
Well, and speaking of which, now, of course, naturally being through into the Porsche Esports Supercup, what's going through your mind? Is this a huge moment for you?
I think this is the first step of a huge moment. It's like the journey to where I was trying to test myself, so I really only have an answer if I'm happy when the finals are over and I see how I perform there against like Coanda and Verstappen and all of them.
Well, and speaking of that, we kind of discussed in the pre-race that this regional series is a learning moment for everybody here. Where do you see yourself once you get to the Esports Super Cup? Do you anticipate good results, or are you just kind of setting expectations low?
I mean, I raced against a lot of the guys during the global qualifier, and that was a bit of a battering, if I'm being honest, at the beginning, but I didn't really know anything about the car there, so maybe at the end if I can get top 15 would be pretty good for me, I would say.
Well, congratulations on another win here in the number 3 machine. Go savor it.
Thank you.
That was Patrick Kessel, your winner. Finishing in 7th today was Dylan Allen, really showing the highs and lows of racing. But we have to ask, what happened on the fuel call? Was it just more fuel consumption than everybody anticipated?
Quite honestly, so the setup we had was the fuel taken out of Okayama, the same amount of fuel. The fuel calculation between all of us was never done. Nobody went and double checked the fuel was going to be different. Obviously, in theory, the fuel usage would be a lot more here because you're on the throttle for a lot longer. But it was never cross-checked. So, yeah, so it was a really, really stupid mistake that ended up costing all 3 of us. But these are the kind of things that regionals are here for. We still, from my calculations, all move on to the finals. So at least we can learn from this mistake, and to World Championships this doesn't happen again.
Absolutely, and looking forward to that. You've had a pretty good season, regardless of I'm sure mistakes you want to forget. So, how do you see yourself going forward from here? What do you do to prepare?
I think a lot of it's seat time. PESC World Championship is going to be a completely different ball game for me, and I think everybody in the team knows it as well. So just more time in the car. We found a few things on the setup that we expect to be worthwhile at PESC. Found a few things that I know that only a few other teams have. So let's see when we decide to use it at PESC if it pays off.
Well, again, well done over the course of the season. Looking forward to seeing you over in Porsche Esports Supercup.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Dylan Allen finishing at 7th. Maybe a little bit more smiles from Avesta Gabati in the number 1 car. Finishing 2nd today, though. And Avesta, we talked about how you're working with one of the teams that is perhaps a bigger name out there with Velace Academy. Do you feel like you've done them well?
Yeah, I mean, finally back in the podium. Quite ups and downs seasons. Definitely results I could have done better, but with the lack of practice, and since we're mostly focusing on the F1 side, trying to enter esports there, and also with a bit of university stuff, the time was limited to practice. But yeah, I mean, I played it safe, did what's necessary at least to go hopefully to the grand finals, and yeah, from now on it's full push, I guess.
Well, you said coming into the season that you were excited for all the tracks, nervous for none. Are there any nerves going for that Porsche Esports Super Cup and really stepping up the level?
No, not really, because, well, I know I'm going to be driving against the best sim racers out there, and I'm just mostly trying to enjoy and get even more familiarized with iRacing, because I know I'm probably going to be the least experienced there. But it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be quite a hard journey, but it's going to be fun also, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think we're looking forward to it as well. Congratulations on another podium. That was Avesta Gabati finishing P2. Jake, we said it before, and I think you just confirmed it. Everybody's here to have fun.
They are, and 1 point the difference at the end between Shivesh Bassoon and Oliver Heasley then of who is in and who is out. Mehdi El Fati cleared by 7, but some great drives over the season from Dylan Allen, Werner Skoman. Jack Johns has proven that he's got a lot to fight with, and the quiet drives of Ruslan Khamidulin, they could serve him well if it gets frantic over the course of racing that we have here with the Middle East and Africa region into the Porsche Esports Super Cup proper. They now join the 8 that we have already confirmed in from the Americas region of Reed, De Jong, Rankin, Campbell, Ariel, Costa, Mamasi and Tolashi. So welcome in Patrick Kessel, Dylan Allen, Avesta Gabati, Werner Skoman, Jack Johns, Ruslan Khamidulin, Mehdi El Fati and Shivesh Bassoon. Joe, they have all booked their place.
And I think they, like we heard from them, from here, it is a lot of preparation. It really does step it up a notch once you get to the Super Cup. So it is going to be full push and a lot of practice and research.
And all that practice, all that research, all that time has gone into the work they have done. We are not done, though, here in terms of action, because you can join Arjuna and the gang over for the Porsche Esports Super Cup regional finals for the likes of the Euro region, which will be taking place at the Red Bull Ring. And the question will be asked in that battleground, who is going to put themselves on song there, because it is all about the scrap that is going to be on between Louis Bailicker and Martin Kadlachik and Jerome Fisher. Over though on the APAC region, Australia and Asia, it's a case of some names that are there that have done very well, but the scraps between Charlie Jameson and Josh Jung, who is trying to go through. Eric Hashau as well is also hoping that he can book his place through, but it's going to be a tight battle as they come back to Phillip Island for the racing action that we will have here. Well, 2 regions where it's been absolute cinema here to finish off their seasons. The first 16 have themselves all in. A credit, a pleasure, an absolute joy to bring the Porsche Esports Supercup regional qualifiers over to you. Great racing, what it's all about, and they know that the focus now shifts to the Porsche Esports Supercup proper.